The Oscar goes to Quentin Tarantino, Roger Avey.
And the Oscar goes to Mr. Tarantino.
First introduced to Quentin Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs. Let me see if he's on the line, but it was Pulp Fiction that won him an Oscar and launched him into this A-list status he's in. Some people say he's all about style over substance. Some people say he's glamorized violence. Some people say he's a genius.
So then the fact that mine hit, and now the fact that it wasn't that they were just trying to do Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs. They were trying to exist in the same subgenre of crime film that I had created.
Tarantino doesn't just bend the rules of filmmaking, he straight up ignores them. Let's start with a big one, chronological storytelling. Most movies follow a straight path from point A to point B, guiding the audience through a logical sequence of events. But Tarantino? He took one look at that structure and said,
"Nah, I can't do it."
Instead, he gave us films like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs, where timelines are sliced up, shuffled around, and stitched back together like some kind of cinematic jigsaw puzzle. One moment you're watching a character's tragic demise, then suddenly, in the very next scene, they're alive and well, cracking jokes over breakfast. It's disorienting, it's unconventional, and yet it makes his movies way more engaging. By breaking time itself, Tarantino forces the audience to pay attention, to piece together the story themselves, and to experience his films in a way that feels fresh and unpredictable. This nonlinear style isn't just a gimmick, it's an art form, one that turns his movies into puzzle boxes that demand repeat viewings. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Tarantino doesn't care about traditional storytelling rules, from excessive dialogue that somehow never feels excessive.
Nigger storage?
Jimmy, you know I ain't seen no shit.
Did you notice a sign in the front of my house that said dead nigger storage?
To scenes that stretch on way longer than they should. Everything he does is a middle finger to the conventional Hollywood playbook. But that's exactly what makes him one of the most unique and influential directors of all time. And then there's dialogue. Hollywood loves its tight, purposeful dialogue that moves the plot forward. But Tarantino? He'll have two hitmen talk about burgers in Europe for 5 minutes before they do anything.
Quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
What do they call a Big Mac?
Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Le Big Mac.
Yet it works. His characters talk like real people, with natural conversations that somehow make them feel more alive than half the stuff Hollywood churns out. Tarantino's movies aren't just rule-breaking, they're flat-out bizarre at times. Let's talk about the weirdest things he's done on screen. The feet obsession. Tarantino's love for feet isn't just a fun little quirk, it's practically a trademark at this point. From Uma Thurman's bare soles in Kill Bill to Margot Robbie's propped-up feet in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, his films are filled with lingering shots that make it very clear. The man has a thing for feet. It's in almost every movie he's made. Some directors have signature camera angles, lighting choices, or recurring themes. Tarantino, he's got feet, and he makes sure you notice. The self-casting habit. Most directors are content staying behind the camera, quietly shaping their stories from the shadows. But not Tarantino. He loves throwing himself into his movies, often in ways that feel completely unexpected. Whether it's his foul-mouthed, coffee-obsessed Jimmy in Pulp Fiction, or his bizarre cameo as an Australian miner in Django Unchained, complete with that questionable accent, Tarantino doesn't just direct his films, he inhabits them. Sometimes his performances are short and harmless, other times they stick out like a sore thumb. But one thing's for sure, if you're watching a Tarantino movie, don't be surprised when he suddenly pops up. Violence that shouldn't be this fun. Hollywood tends to treat violence with a certain level of gravity. It's usually either tragic, serious, or played for pure shock value. But Tarantino, he turns it into art. His movies are packed with over-the-top action, blood spraying like it's being pumped from a fire hydrant, and bodies dropping left and right, all while the audience laughs. It's cartoonish, it's absurd, and somehow it works. Just look at the crazy '88 fight in Kill Bill. Limbs flying, fountains of blood, And yet the whole thing feels more like a spectacle than something meant to horrify. He pushes the boundaries of violence so far that it stops being disturbing and becomes pure, exhilarating entertainment. Mixing genres, like a mad scientist. Some directors stick to one genre and perfect their craft within it. Tarantino, he treats genres like a DJ mixing tracks, mashing them together in ways that shouldn't work, but do. Django Unchained is a brutal spaghetti western mixed with revenge thriller elements. Kill Bill is a samurai flick that also pulls from grindhouse cinema and martial arts epics. Inglourious Basterds starts as a war film before transforming into a full-blown revenge fantasy. He doesn't just reference classic genres, he reinvents them. His movies feel like a melting pot of influences, blending everything from 70s exploitation films to old-school kung fu flicks. The result? Something uniquely Tarantino. No one else makes movies quite like him. Tarantino's rule-breaking didn't just make his movies iconic, it changed the industry. After Pulp Fiction, Hollywood started experimenting with nonlinear storytelling. After Kill Bill, stylized ultra-violence became more accepted. And after Inglourious Basterds, people realized that historical accuracy was optional. His unique writing style influenced a whole generation of filmmakers, from Edgar Wright to the Safdie brothers. And his love for practical effects over CGI reminded Hollywood that sometimes old-school filmmaking is still the best. Tarantino might be nearing the end of his directing career, but his impact is forever. He's the ultimate example of why breaking the rules isn't just okay, it can change the game entirely. So what's your favorite Tarantino moment? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into cinema's wildest minds. Until next time, stay weird.